I can't really do much about the background audio being basically non-existent here, but I can try to make up for it with trying way too hard to look cool. I cannot pull it off. I cannot. But hey, we're good. We're going. Everything's fine. Everything's a-okay. So, if I can, there we go. I forgot how to stop doing that. So, to make sure I actually start the counter here. Yeah, more Dunsparce. And if you guys know how this normally goes, this one's not going to be as good as the last stream of this because we're doing 2 in 1 week, and that never goes well. I mean, we're probably going to find the same number of shinies and all that. The thing is, it's just going to be a lot more boring. It's going to be a lot more boring. I talk about this every time we do 2 in a row because it inevitably just spirals again and again in the same direction. It's very predictable. And that's just how it's gonna be, I guess. Tomato, onion, green bell pepper, hamburger, and 2 tofus. Maybe 2 salties. I'm running low on picks. I'm not gonna run out this stream, but I'm gonna need more before I do this again, which, knowing me, will be at some point within the next 3 months, and I'll probably forget to stock up. So honestly, I think I'm gonna make sure I stock up on a few things before I actually stop playing the game tonight. I'm not gonna do it on stream. Like, this whole Dunsparce thing is filler enough as is. It's just that, you know, I don't even remember where I got the fiery picks to begin with. It might have been something they were just given to me during the events of the DLC, and I just kind of, I don't know. I think I used to have some Eevee ones as well. I normally just go with a standard pick, because it largely doesn't matter. Especially when you make a sandwich like this abomination, and it's very clearly, the pick is very clearly clipping through the sandwich, and the mag mortar there is barely visible. It is kind of pathetic, actually. It's actually really pathetic. I still like the fact that one of the missions in Indigo Disc it forces you to make a sandwich. And if you don't put the bread on top, it actually calls you out on that. There's no penalty or anything, but it does acknowledge the fact that you don't put the bread on top. I find that a really funny touch. It's something I still think about. Like, the game itself for Generation 9 is an absolute dumpster fire. Like, 100%. Like, we can all agree it's kind of a mess. But the writing is not bad. It has a lot of charm to it. If only the rest of the game was good around that stuff, so that way we would have a good time playing the game, instead of just, you know. Music's also pretty good, too. I think Toby Fox helped a little bit of it. I think he did the Terra Raid theme. And I hate having to say that because I trip over my words a little bit with that. It sounds super awkward. So, I mean, that's what they wanted to do, so that's what they wanted to call it. And I guess it's short for Terastal? Terastalize? Which for some reason sounds more natural by comparison. I don't fully understand. That's just how it is. That's just how it is. That's the world we live in. But yeah, it's more of this, and just for the heck of it, I decided to look up how the game actually calculates the 3-segment stuff. I figured sharing the info would be fairly interesting to start things off while we have a little moment of, I don't know what to talk about. So, we'll start with that. So, when a Pokemon spawns in, it has they call it an encryption constant. It's some specific value assigned to a Pokemon that dictates RNG stuff, I think. So, it's stuff like nature, IVs, and in this case, which form it evolves into. Panda Mouse works the same way when evolving in a Maushold. It's the same type of thing there. The only difference is you can shiny hunt for a one mouse offspring Maushold by doing Terra raids. You can't do that with Dudunsparce. They're always 2-segment in the wild and in raids. So you have to evolve to get the 3-segment. Which is what makes this a little bit more difficult. Because you have to, if you want a shiny 3-segment, you kind of just have to do what I'm doing here. You have to hope for the best. Now, the shiny stuff is based off of the RNG with your trainer ID and a secret ID to influence your RNG seed. That's been a consistent thing for most of the series at this point. It's an entirely separate role in comparison to that constant, I believe. So, the shininess is entirely separate from the 3-segment in most cases. Apparently, RNG worked a little bit differently in Generation 4 specifically. And if you bring in, I want to say it's a hardy Dunsparce with Serene Grace as its ability, it will have a 50-50 chance of evolving into a 3-segment. Because the encryption constant there takes more advantage of, like, literally everything about how the Pokemon spawns in. And it's definitely a lot different in Generation 9 than it is in Generation 4. So, as a result, if you just happen to have a Dunsparce with that nature and that ability, you bring it up, like, you're good. You just get it, kinda. I mean, it's still a coin flip, but it's better than a 1 in 100 chance. And how it determines that is that it divides the constant by 100, and if the remainder is 0, you get a 3-segment. So the constant has to end in double zeros. And of course, you don't see any of this. This is all behind-the-scenes stuff. And I think it's meant to help prevent hacked-in Pokemon. It's sort of like a checksum, I guess, to make sure a Pokemon's legitimate. Not like that really matters, though, because people still cheat in shiny level 100 Pokemon all the time anyway, so it's not the best system. Or at the very least, they're not doing the best job of catching these very clearly generated shiny Pokemon that have all these freaking links as their usernames. It's so stupid. Like, they're obviously cheated and they do nothing about it. There's, like, nothing to stop them, and that's why stuff like Wonder Trade's been absolute garbage the last couple generations. It's because people just cheat stuff in, and it just ruins it for everyone, you know? Like, sometimes you get lucky and you get an actual legitimate shiny out of the whole thing, and it's like a really nice gesture. Like, I want to say back when Generation 8 was new, that Christmas, there was like a huge thing where people were Wonder trading out shinies, so that way people who got the game for Christmas that year would have a bunch of shinies. And they'd be real shinies too. They wouldn't be botted shinies or anything. And it was like a super cute gesture by the community. You love to see it. I don't remember if that was a big thing for Generation 9. I think people were just kind of fed up with the Wonder Trade system by then because of how awful it can be. So that's just how that ended up. And it's a shame, too. It really is a shame. I know I did something similar with Shiny Iron Bundle back a couple of years ago for Christmas/New Year's. I did a thing where I had 2 full boxes of Shiny Iron Bundle that I basically just went down there to those crystals and just went back and forth, back and forth. And just kind of hope for the best. I did not realize there were spawns down here. Can I please let go? Let go. It'd be funny if I got a shiny down here, but I don't think I see any pink. Nope. Still kind of a teal. So, interesting they could spawn down there. I wouldn't be surprised if there are shinies down there that I end up missing. Because this game does not have the shiny jingle that the Legends games do. I'm hoping that Generation 10 keeps the shiny jingle. Because it's very handy when you're near a shiny but you can't visibly see it. Considering that shinies just kind of spawn like this out in the wild. It's not a thing like in Generation 8 and let's go ahead it, but you have to pay attention still. But like they still like a sparkle effect, you can still see them if you're fairly close. And then Generation 8, you had kind of a combo of this sort of system where they're just out and about, and I don't know if you can see them shiny like that. I think they at least sparkle. I could be wrong. I've not played Generation 8, so I'm not super familiar with the mechanics. Alternatively, it has the same encounter system that, you know, the rest of the series use. You go in the grass, you get a random Pokemon. So, like, the shiny jingle's not super necessary in that because it's more classic style. I think it's a shame it wasn't brought over for Generation 9, considering Legends Arceus came out first, and let's face it, kind of spoiled us a little bit. But I suppose they were made around the same time, and the dev team must not have had the best communication with that sort of thing. There's a chance that it could have been implemented in this game if they had more time to develop it and it wasn't clearly rushed out the door, but guess we'll never know. I don't think anyone's going to the files of this game to check to see if there's any the unused audio clips like that or anything. But there might be a chance that the shiny jingle from Legends Arceus is in the game and just never properly called or something because the game was rushed out the door and they never fixed it. Who knows? Hey, Vex! Just talking about how shinies work in terms of how this hunt is going. The whole thing was an encryption constant and ended up kind of going off onto a little rant about the Wonder Trade system being kind of a mess right now because they do not do a good job of checking Pokemon legitimacy, I suppose. It's a problem across basically everything that has some form of Wonder Trading in it, and that makes me so sad. Because, like, you put something in the Wonder Trade box, whether it be, like, the Wonder Trade system here or in Pokemon Home, and then you get a thing fairly quickly here, or, like, here it's, like, within a minute you get something. In Pokemon Home, like, you're waiting 3 hours. It takes a while in that for some reason. But either way, you get a thing, and you see it shiny, you get super excited until the username pops up, and it's very clearly a link to a site where you can buy shinies, and you don't do that. Do not do that crap. It is freaking terrible, and they don't do enough to stop that shit. And honestly, I don't know why people would even resort to doing that stuff to begin with. Outside of, like, the shiny lock stuff they give out in events, which I freaking despise. I do like the fact that the DLC for Legends ZA, you can still shiny hunt some of the legendaries. They're not all shiny locks, thank God. But, you know, you couldn't shiny hunt the box legends in the last couple games, and that makes me sad. And then you have stuff like Generation 7, where it was like a GameStop code. Which is how they did it, I think, for Generation 9 eventually. but you know they did a lot worse there, and then scalpers got their hands on it. It's a whole mess. Any sort of thing that's like super rare or collectible, scalpers just ruin everything. It's always bots and scalpers and scalper bots. It's like a huge Venn diagram. It's all a problem. Then outside the Venn diagram, there's everyone else who just wants to play Pokemon and see Pokemon with little sparkles that look a little different, you know? And maybe they go and do this for like 40 hours, looking for a shiny Dunsparce that happens to get an extra segment when it evolves. So like, it's a bit of a mess, and I don't know if they're ever gonna address it. I feel like there's gonna be a time for a while in Generation 10 where it's gonna be fairly safe, because if Legend ZA if ZA is an indication, we're not gonna get home integration for quite some time after the game launches, and the Switch 2 has not been hacked yet. So going into save data and modifying it and generating shinies isn't going to be a thing right away. Hopefully. Which means that if you get a shiny from Wonder Training in the game itself, it's probably going to be legitimate. Then give it a couple of years and it's just right back in that same garbage because people just bring in stuff they got from other games. And it's a whole disaster. It's a mess. They do so little to actually fix any of that. And it makes me sad. It makes me kind of sad because I want shinies to feel special. Don't get me wrong. Here's the thing. I feel like in most cases people shouldn't be resorting to these freaking bot farms to get shinies. It's awful. Because you're ruining the fun of actually trying to get one yourself. And in most cases, you can. You can just, you know, you complete the Pokédex, which isn't that hard because we have like a coordinated effort to keep trades organized. So if you want a specific thing, you're good. We figured that out in Generation 8, I think. You know, good job, Pokemon community. So like completing the normal Pokédex isn't hard, so getting the shiny charm's pretty easy. Right? And then from there, there's usually some other thing on top of that to boost shiny odds. Whether it be the Medusa method, which has been around since I think Generation 4. You have the sandwich system in this game. I think there are specific curries you can make in Generation 8 that do boosts like that. Like, getting the shiny of what you want isn't necessarily difficult. It just might take a little time. And then if you wanted to use it for competitive, like, it's so much easier to build for competitive now than it's ever been. Because you can get Pokemon vitamins, you could get herbs to change natures, you can get TMs for basically anything you can imagine, and for some moves that you can't, it's not hard to give egg moves over nowadays. Because you have, like, I forget, it was some kind of, like, leaf, like a mirror leaf or some shit you can put on a Pokemon and you can bring over moves that way. It's super easy to get Pokemon set up for competitive. So you can just get some random shiny, give it the proper EVs, bottle cap for IVs, and you're just kind of good. You're just kind of good. But no, people still just get stuff from these awful websites and ruin the fun, and it's freaking stupid. I hate it. It's not hard to get shinies nowadays, and it's even easier to get stuff competitively viable nowadays. So, like, ugh. Maybe that's why Pokemon Company and Game Freak haven't really taken much notice that sort of thing. Because, like, maybe they see it's not really worth it because it's already easy to get shinies to begin with. But then they still shiny lock stuff like the legendaries, and they get freaking sent out everywhere. And it's either that or you're dealing with scalpers and their whole thing. Like, it's the reason why the trading card games have been absolute messes lately. Because every single time there's a new expansion out, if there's a Pikachu, or an Umbreon, or a Charizard, you're never seeing a single fucking pack of that in the store. Unless they have a strict policy of like 1 pack per person. And even then, they still sell out pretty quickly because it's Pokemon. What do you expect? It's absolutely insane. And these scalpers are 100% just trying to hoard stuff to, like, for money's sake. Because if it's an expansion that doesn't feature one of those Pokemon as some big thing, like a full art or like a gold card or something, or like a holo, they just don't give a shit and they complain online like, oh, it's just so bad. It doesn't matter if it's actually got Pokemon that are actually good for the game itself. All that matters is those particular Pokemon that have resale value. And they hoard that crap and they ruin the game for everyone. It's so stupid. Like, a friend of mine in the local area, we used to actually go out and open Pokemon cards. Like, physically for a while. We'd buy, like, 5 or so packs and open them. We've gotten some cool shit in there sometimes. Like, I think we got a full art Heracross at one point a couple years ago, and it was very nice. But, like, we couldn't really do that anymore because, lo and behold, scalpers ruined everything over the last couple years, and, well, now we can't do that anymore. So nowadays, we're just glad that TCG Pocket exists, so that way we can still do that sort of thing every day. But it doesn't feel the same without the actual physical cards, and the packs you get in TCG Pocket are noticeably way smaller. It's like with an actual, like, TCG expansion pack, you're getting like 10 cards. You get the bonus card for scanning into the mobile app. You get an energy card, high shiny. And then you get like 8 Pokemon, and a couple of them are guaranteed to have some sort of like holo effect on them. It's not really the case in TCG Pocket. You get 5 cards, or 4 if you open up Deluxe Pack EX, the very few times they let you. And unless it's something like Deluxe Pack EX where they guarantee a 4-diamond EX card, like, it could just be a bunch of junk. Which is just kind of true of normal stuff, but, like, you're not even getting holos. Not really. I don't know. Plus, there's something way more fun about actually, like, physically collecting things. Like, don't get me wrong, it is still pretty satisfying to get some pretty rare stuff. Wow. It's still fun to get some of the rare stuff in the mobile app. Like, don't get me wrong, that stuff is still fun. It's like, ooh, shiny gold thing. I like shiny gold thing. I can brag about it to all of my friends, and they can get so jealous. But, like, it just feels different. A swipe on the phone cannot match the feeling of like, struggling for a little bit to open a pack and then, like, shuffling through the cards yourself. You know? There's something so satisfying about that is lost in a digital medium? A digital medium like that. So, like, it just feels different. Don't get me wrong, it's still fun to do that stuff, but, like, yeah. I mean, similar to the actual main TCG stuff, I don't even interact with the game at all. I just go in there to collect cards. You can't get all of them unless you do a free subscription thing for, like, the special monthly cards. I don't give a shit about those, but, like, just trying to complete the main decks of the game. Like, the promo cards are just bonus stuff. And I try to get whatever ones they give out during events and whatnot. For, like, drop events or the actual battle events. It's like, I do those, and I get those cards, and I actually did use some of them for a time when I was actually more active in the actual game aspect. Like, I remember for a while, back in the very early game, I would try to run the promo Mankey from very early on, where when you attack, you deal 10 damage to yourself. And then you evolve into Primeape, who has a move that does extra damage if you're under full health. So, you use your attack as Mankey, you evolve, and then you're doing a lot more as Primeape. Nowadays, you can't really do stuff like that because it's all EX stuff, and that was before Darkrai Giratina absolutely ruined everything for everyone and just ruined the fun of everything. And then when I try to use it, it's a freaking worst thing I've ever used. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't even do like the bare minimum in rank to even get like the basic Great Ball emblems and like 60 hourglasses. Right now I'm holding on to like 700 because I don't use them very much on like the smaller expansions. I save them for the big stuff where they have like 2 or 3 different packs you can open, you know? But when it's like the little like side ones where it's like the lowercase a, lowercase b, I don't give a shit as much. Like maybe I'll open 1 or 2 10 packs just to fill out more of the card decks. But after that, I just don't give a shit. Not nearly as much, you know? So I feel less incentivized to actually interact with the actual game itself. Which I know sounds kind of pathetic, but it's kind of just true for TCG as well. Just like, some people just have to collect the cards. And some people are there to hoard them so they can have all the resale value, and those people are absolutely awful. But people who just want to collect cards, they open the packs, they get the cool cards they want. Like, those people are cool. It's like a modern version of stamp collecting. Like, who gives a shit about stamps? But like, ooh, Pokemon. And you're telling me these cards I've been collecting can be used for a game? Ooh. Let me try it out once, and it's not for them, but they still collect cards anyway because it's Pokemon. You're supposed to catch them all. That's the whole point. I miss when that was the tagline. And then they stopped doing it, and then they made it so you couldn't get every Pokemon in every game. Which, you know, balancing reasons, I understand. It's like, you're never gonna have Shedinja work with this gimmick. You know? I mean, Pokemon Champions might bring that in, you know? Shiny! Champions might bring it in, and you're able to customize it and whatnot, who knows? I'm willing to bet they won't even allow it to be a possible thing. Still. Because like there's like a whole disaster thing. It was like it's normal ability, and the only ability it gets, I believe, makes it so you can only hit with super effective moves. You give it Terra Electric, which makes it so you only have 1 weakness, ground. You give it an Air Balloon, so you can only hit it with a ground move. If it has Levitate with it, you can't hit with a ground move when it's in the air like that. And that creates a problem where you can't hit the thing. But of course, there are ways around it. You could hit with Mold Breaker, which I think breaks through the ability. Thank you, Mega Embor, for giving us some sort of option. Like you may not have an actual unique ability of like the other 2 Legends EA starter Megas, but Mold Breaker's nothing to sneeze at. You can give it a status effect like Burn or Poison that takes out instantly next turn. Weather effects, I think all of those can go right through. So hail and sandstorms break through. But like then you have to dedicate an entire like move slot or 2 just to countering that, and everyone's gonna want to bring that. Oh, I'm gonna sandstorm. So like, I can understand why Game Freak didn't want to bring Shedinja in for like this game. And I understand that a lot of the gimmicks are going to be super unbalanced and stuff. It spikes to an extent, but that's only if they swap in. Like if they start with a Shedinja, you're not going to be able to set up on them unless you're able to force them to swap out, you know? And that's not always a guarantee. Like, Roar might work, but then you have to put Roar on something. And I'm not sure it's really viable on most Pokemon. Poison works, I know. I think you're a little bit behind. But there are ways you can counter it, but most people probably won't be countering it too easily, you know? So I can see, like, for balancing reasons, I can see why they didn't bring literally every Pokemon in to every game nowadays. Not to mention that we're over 1,000, and there's a point where you gotta worry about, like, power creep to an extent. Like, don't get me wrong, plenty of Pokemon from the old days are still very viable and all that, but, like, when there's 1,000 Pokemon, it's hard to balance, you know? And yeah, like half of them you're not going to use anyway because they're unevolved and they have lower stats and all that. Unless you're doing some meme shit like Murkrow during early Generation 9. Where it had, I want to say it had Prankster, which meant you had priority on your status moves or some shit. It's like people would lead with that just to fuck around, but then more Pokemon were added in with the DLCs that had the ability to kind of just stop that. And even then, people just didn't use it anymore after a while anyway. But like, balancing a lot of this sort of stuff can be difficult, especially when you're adding 100 Pokemon every generation, and you have a bunch of others you're bringing in regardless, you know? And then there's some Pokemon that are just guaranteed to be in no matter what, because you always have the Eevees, you always have Ditto. Most cases, I think, you have access to the Kanto starters. I think you do in every mainline... Yeah, I think you have the Kanto starters in every one of these Switch games, I think, because... Obviously they're in Let's Go, because no shit, it's Kanto. I don't think every starter was in Generation 8 via the DLC, but I know for a fact the starters for Kanto were because they had Gigantamaxes. Even though I think Venusaur was a DLC thing, so not all of them were available at launch, but they all were eventually there. Gen 9, you had the DLC there, which brought in everyone, I believe. All the starters are there. For Indigo Disc. Legends Arceus might be the only one where they're not all there, but they could still be there. And then you have Legends EA where they all are there because they do the Generation 6 thing where you have your normal starters at the start and then you get the Kanto ones from the lab fairly early on. So they're obviously going to keep bringing the Kanto ones back. So Charizard's going to be everywhere. So, like, you know. Then you have the cases where you have, like, multi-form Pokemon, where it's like regional forms. Like, if you bring in Sandshrew of one form, you have to bring it for the other form as well. You have to bring in the Alolan form. Because I think in every instance, outside of when Gen 9 added some new ones, so, like, you're not going to bring in Paldean and Tauros to Let's Go. But, like, every new game, if they bring in a Pokemon that has a regional form, the regional form always has to be in there as well because it's the same species. Technically. It's kind of like the Echo Fighters in a way from Smash, where it's like, I don't want to say, like, they have a number and then they have, like, an alpha mark next to them or something to dictate that they're not the same character, but they are technically the same, in a way. I feel like regional forms are kind of the same thing, where it's like, they're the same species, so if one form's in, they all have to be. Could be wrong, though. You don't necessarily have to get them, like, in the game itself. You could, like, lock out the forms from being catchable, but, like, they're still integrated in the game to some extent. For, like, compatibility reasons. And then you get stuff like this game where if you... There's, like, a specific NPC you can trade a Paldean Wooper to, and they give you a Jotonian Wooper? I think it's Johto. Anyway, we have Dudunsparce here. Been rambling on about Pokemon stuff for so long, a sandwich ran out. Going to Hyper Drill on you. Not paying attention to the stats on the side there, so I haven't checked natures or anything. Not Roost. I'm gonna guess Adamant and Timid for these two. Naughty and Mild. Okay. Well, let's get to evolving, shall we? Number 1. It's gonna increment the counter. Number 87. 2 segment. And then number 88. Are you gonna be our lucky one? Nope. Another 2 segment. I think because the shiny is rolled separately from the actual evolution constant. Should probably check to see if they have a mark on them. Didn't we do a best job of checking? Pretty sure they didn't. No, don't move it. Summary. Yeah, no, okay. Save. But because it's separate, I think the odds are still just 1 in 100. So I think when we hit 100, shiny Dudunsparce will be at odds for the 3 segment. I think that's how that works. Because we're already rolling for the shiny anyway, and then we gotta hope that it rolled 1 in 100 on top of that. But they're separate, you know? It's like one is determined by the encryption constant, and then the other one is determined by your trainer ID, secret ID, that sort of thing. So, like, the same 3 segment Dudunsparce would be shiny for one person, but not for another because the trainer IDs would be different. But they can have the same, like, encryption value, which dictates which form they get, so... It's complicated. RNG was, like, 2 different things like that. Can be a little bit funky. So, I could just be misunderstanding how the probability of all this stuff works. I'm not going to claim to be an expert on the behind the scenes of how Pokemon does its stuff, but, you know. What I'm saying is, we're going to be seeing 3 digits soon, and I'm going to adjust the layout a little bit, because you may notice that with the larger number here, the 88, it's a little bit chopped off on the side. And that's because, I believe, it's actively cropped on the side here. I can go ahead and show you real quick. So the 88 here being cut off here is just the normal boundary. But if I do this, I think it's Alt. Notice a little bit of a colon there. That's because this is using the... I forget what it's called. The SOSDC, the Simple On-Screen Death Counter. It's what I've been using for all my counter stuff, where I just press the button and it increments by 1. It's very easy and simple, and it's a cute little program. I like it. You can put a little message here to be like, Dudunsparce, for instance, and it updates in real time, roughly, like once every second, as you can see here. That's what just the number again. So, go ahead and do this, delete, which will decrease the number. Now we're back to 88. But because this does look kind of stupid, so what I do is I just kind of crop this out a little bit, so it's just the number. But the Pokemon font can be a little finicky sometimes. You may notice that some of the colon is still there now. Gotta fix that again. Yeah, it looks a bit stupid, but you know, you're gonna have to deal with it. The wider numbers like this have kind of overlap because of how the text works. It can be a little stupid. When we get the triple digits, it's going to extend again, and the crop's going to be stupid, so... I have to adjust that again pretty soon. Probably not this stream. Maybe the next Dudunsparce stream we'll have to change that, because I think, knowing my luck, we'll probably get another 4 to 6 shinies to check through. If we don't get the 3 segment by then, I think another stream or 2 will push us over the 100 mark. Which would mean the layout had to change a little bit to shift with a number. So it's a little bit of a thing. I'm paying closer attention to the giraffe rig there because the start of last stream I got one right out the gate that was shiny. So, there's always a chance. There's always a chance, and it can be really funny. Funny? That is funny? Huh? But, yeah. Just a little behind the scenes of how this stuff works. And, generally, it does not work well. It's a little bit finicky. Because the way I do my keybinds for the counter is I have the increment up set to P. Because I don't think P is used for any hotkeys or any programs I really use for anything. And then for incrementing down is just delete, because that just makes obvious sense. I don't know if delete or backspace is default. But, I don't really increment down much anyway, so I don't need to worry about it too much. But the letter P on the keyboard should not really, get in the way of anything else, I don't think. So, it's not really anything of our concern. I probably could use a better font than this Pokemon font I found, but it's also the same font I use for the Pokemon thumbnails. Because, you know, obviously, it's a Pokemon stream, you're gonna use your Pokemon-looking text. It doesn't really work as well for, like, a HUD element like this, and, I will say, I think it has a little bit of a quirk. I think the Sonic one maybe has more quirks to it, because, you don't really get symbols in the Sonic one that I use. If you use Shift with numbers, instead of getting most of the symbols, like, I want to say, instead of getting the number sign for Shift 3, you get the 3 from the Sonic 3 and Knuckles logo. Which generally is not something you're going to be using too much. I think quotation marks is also broken in a similar manner, so if I want to use quotation marks, I have to just put 2 apostrophes and hope no one notices. So, you know, sometimes fonts can be a little screwy because they want to do one thing, and then they want to keep the theme going by introducing semi-wingdings elements to it. It's like, what the hell are you doing? Okay. Okay, then. So yeah, I'm not going to act like I'm a professional. I do this just because I want to. It's a hobby. So, you're really expecting super high quality out of that? No, you're not gonna. Speaking of things I want to do, I will make that poll. I will make that poll and schedule it for the weekend, where it determines what we do next, because it could be more of this for a little bit. We can go back to Pac-Man, and I can struggle again, because, God, I don't want to go back to Pac-Man right now. Or it could be Donkey Kong, because I do have Donkey Kong Country Returns HD that I haven't played yet, and I did want to stream that eventually. Now might be a good time for it. So, it'll be up to you. So, if you're watching this, we're a couple days after the stream happened, there should be a poll in the community tab that should be active. And then, you know, I'll probably, like, can't really close polls. Not here anyway. So, we could just say like the deadlines at some point on Wednesday or something. And I'll just remember what I stream. We'll be kind of locked in from there. I'm hoping, if anything, it's going to be Donkey Kong, because I feel like Dunsparce is a thing I can't really do constantly. There was a stretch where I did like 4 of them in a row once. Like 2 weeks straight of Dunsparce, and it was mostly okay. Don't get me wrong, but like, it definitely wasn't the best streams I've ever done. Dunsparce is really just meant to be like a filler thing. Kind of catch up and talk to people in the chat about certain things that are going on. Kind of the chill, just talking streams. But instead of doing like a face cam thing or having a VTuber model and just kind of talking in chat for a couple hours, I'm still playing a game. It's just something that doesn't really need as much full attention. It's like, as much as I have to kind of look at the screen and keep an eye out for if a Pokemon is shiny, I'm still kind of mindlessly wandering around mostly. And because there's no real major stakes in comparison to something like, let's say, a time trial in Pac-Man, I can kind of just like look off at chat for a little second, not really miss out on much. So, outside of when we get into topics that make me go on rants and make me really angry for some reason, they're generally a bit more laid back, which makes them great for like little in-between intermission things. So like, I don't want to return to a game because Nintendo did a direct last stream day. So instead of just going back to the game or starting something new, I'm just gonna do Dudunsparce, and then we'll do like a full week of proper game next week. You know, like it's happened a few times where we have a Nintendo Direct show up like right as I'm finishing up another game, and then I just do Dudunsparce on the following day. So, you know, it's just kind of a nice little like extra intermission breather type deal. And you have situations like this where I just want to stop playing. Like, I finished the main campaign for Pac-Man World 2 Repack. Sort of. I don't want to go back to that, and we might be going to a new game soon, but I want to take a little break and just do something a bit more casual. Boom. A week of Dunsparce. Perfect. What is going on upstairs? I think my cats are getting a little anxious in the moment, because I don't want them downstairs during this, because we've had instances where I've let Kiki downstairs during streams. Like for example, when I started Sonic Frontiers, and she straight up got onto the capture card and fucked up my view of it for a little bit, and I had to finagle with that for a little while and all that. So I have to be kind of careful about that sort of thing. And then, of course, if you remember, last year, funnily enough, during a Dunsparce stream, I told you guys about a little kitten that we found at our house randomly during the summer. And she's been doing great, by the way. We named her Sweet Pea, and she can be a little bit of a mess. She can be a little bit of a mess. She still has that high energy you expect kittens to normally have, and she gets into stuff she's not supposed to, like climbing on shelves and whatnot. Kiki's generally mellowed out. Usually if Kiki's running around, it's because Sweet Pea's chasing her, and she does not like that very much. She does not like that very much at all. So usually, any high-energy incidents we have nowadays are just Sweet Pea just being a playful little kitten. She'll probably grow out of it soon enough. Kiki definitely did. She's not anywhere near as energetic nowadays. I do miss when Kiki would be more playful and all that, but like, I also just like her being more calm most of the time, just kind of relaxing. It's cute. Plus it means that Kiki, being noticeably larger than Sweet Pea by a good margin, I'm not just talking about the fact that Kiki's a little older. We're just talking about the fact that Kiki also absolutely loves to eat, so she's just a bit wider and heavier generally. Imagine if she was jumping up on shelves, she'd probably bring the whole shelf down with her, and Mom would be so pissed. And they would probably have to friggin' give Kiki to the animal shelter. That wouldn't be good for anyone. But luckily, Kiki mellowed out with age, so she's fine. So hopefully Sweet Pea gets to be in a similar manner because she can be a little bit of a handful. You know how kittens can be. Just absolutely crazy. And those claws, they're small but super sharp. We have like a scratching post that we've had for a while with Kiki, and you know sometimes like little bits would come off because you know the claws would kind of tear them up a little bit. But that's nothing like a broom or a vacuum can't fix. It's generally fine. Meanwhile, Sweet Pea got her claws on it, and within a couple months, the thing's just falling apart. The rope's like untying itself from the scratching post. So like, yeesh. My God, dude, it's crazy. Sometimes the cats kind of have them, especially Sweet Pea being the little kitten she is, just being overly curious. Of course, the cats still like to chase any bugs that wander their way in here. So, you know, sometimes they'll run around trying to catch a bug, and they'll be on the ceiling, and they'll look up at me or Mom and be like, "Meow, help! I want to get the bug, but it's too high to reach, meow." And then they're super cute about it, and they're super polite about it. But like sometimes, like one gets like above a shelf, like a moth comes in and it gets on like a corner up on top of a shelf, and then Sweet Pea just jumps up behind the TV and all that just to get to it, and you know, we're worried that something might happen where she knocks the TV off or something, and that would cost like a couple $100 to fix. We'd probably just get a new TV at that point, and that wouldn't be good. And then, like, on the shelf that she climbs up, we have, like, family photos and everything. And we obviously don't want those being ruined. It's like, you know, you gotta be careful with cats sometimes. But generally, they're okay. They've been mostly just lying around today, so generally I can trust them a little bit more, but, you know, I guess Sweet Pea might be starting to wake up, and you know, that means she's got a lot of energy with her, so she might be running around again. Might be messing with Kiki again. Making her mad. Like, Kiki's kind of just become a bit of a grump over time, but, like, she mainly just gets really upset. If you hold her too long, she gets grumpy, but that's just generally how cats work. And of course, Sweet Pea being extra playful, she likes to pounce at Kiki, and, you know, those claws, they're sharp. Kiki's not a fan, and, there's not many times where Kiki will hiss nowadays. That's one of the times where she will, because it's very understandable. The little kitten that you just find outside and you effectively adopt it because the cat distribution system decides it's time to have another kitten around the house. And that kitten is very small, with very sharp claws, and extremely playful. And the cat you currently have, who's been in the house for a few years and generally doesn't like to play, now it's getting involved in these freaking misadventures nowadays, and she's not a fan. But things will probably work out eventually. Sweet Pea will eventually just kind of mellow out with age, no doubt. She won't be super hyper energetic forever. She'll mellow out like Kiki eventually, probably. And Kiki's probably hoping that day is soon. Cats, man. I actually used to hate cats. There was a time where I was very much like a really big dog person. I still kind of am. I still do like dogs, don't get me wrong, but I'm more of a cat person nowadays. But when I was young, there was one point we went to the animal shelter, and we were just looking for like little pets we could possibly get. And at one point, I'm over by the cat cages, and there's like this little cage with like a couple kittens in it, and they're playful. And me, being the stupid little guy I was at the time, because this was back probably over 20 years ago by now. I put my hand kind of close to the cage. I think I was trying to pet one of the kittens, and one of them walks up and slashes like a line right down my hand, and it hurts. It made me really hate cats for a while. You know, and then eventually, you know, I kind of mellow out that sort of thing, realized that cats are really freaking adorable. I got a rabbit, and a rabbit kind of tore me up sometimes as well, and it doesn't really bother me as much. Like, don't get me wrong, like, an animal scratching you because they're trying to get comfy in your arms, or they're hanging on a little bit too tight. Like, you know, they can be a bit crazy sometimes. Like, I've had Kiki try to climb up my shoulder before, and usually nowadays it's just her trying to get away from something. But ooh, shiny. Like, I'm trying to hold her, she's trying to climb up onto my back or my shoulder, and as a result, her claws are digging in, and that shit hurts. But like, you know, that's just how it's just how it is sometimes. Kiki actually generally likes to be held, though. Like, you pick her up. Once she trusts you, she hates strangers. But if she can trust you, you can pick her up, and she'll just kind of rest in your arms. You know, sometimes she'll be a little antsy, I guess. And usually nowadays because of Sweet Pea and her antics, so it can be a little bit of an interesting thing. The two of them didn't really get along so well. I think I told you guys this when we first found Sweet Pea. I don't know if it's a whole thing with jealousy, or if it's just Kiki just generally being more of a grump, or just hating, like, new people or new animals in the house. But she hated Sweep. Just looking at her made her hiss. Like, she was very mad about the whole thing. You know, sometimes, you know, if Sweep is a bit calmer, the two of them could just sleep together in a chair, and it's super cute, and we love that. But, like, you know, they still don't get along perfectly, because Sweet Pea likes to do little ambush pounces where she kind of like hides around a corner or under the table and kind of just run up to Kiki and like pounce at her tail, or just pounce at her in general. Like, makes Kiki super. It's like, hey, no sneak attacks, don't sneak attack me. You know, just kind of how it is sometimes. You know, you give Kiki time, she'll warm up to you, and she'll just be the friendliest little cat ever. But generally, she's a bit of a grump, scared of new people. Absolutely hates when new cats are brought in the house, clearly. We're definitely not going to be getting a third cat. Two's already hard enough to deal with, so we're not going to get a third one. Even if the cat distribution system we all meme about wants us to have another one, we'll probably just probably give that to a family member. Not sure who exactly. My cousin has enough pets as is, and we got Kiki from her originally anyway, so you know, a cat probably wouldn't be great for her, especially with her two dogs. They're huge. So we probably wouldn't give a cat to her again. But I think nowadays she got another cat anyway, so I don't know what her reasoning was there. So I don't know. I think cats may be a little bit too high maintenance for my grandparents. Like, they can handle going out and walking the dog and everything, because they had a few dogs, all of which have since unfortunately passed on. Like, they can handle like walking dogs, and like they used to have a couple tanks of fish, and Grandma would always like feed the fish, and it was like super nice. And she would like the most high maintenance part of that, because I think she had guppies specifically, so you know, pretty often she'd have like section one off because, you know, reproduction. And then there's, you know, cleaning the tank and all that can be a little bit, you know, much. And I think it eventually just became too much for her, especially with age. You know, dogs are pretty low maintenance by comparison, I suppose. But, you know, cats are definitely way more high maintenance, especially considering how they give them more stuff to scratch on, so not tearing up everything. Putting on a litter box, because you're probably not going to want to run outside when you live next to a freaking... it's not a highway, but, like... It's a pretty busy main road that she lives on, so Grandma wouldn't like that. I don't think Grandpa really cared too much about that. Grandpa was mainly just on walking dog duty half the time anyway. But Grandma was always the one in charge of the fish and all that, so... Grandpa would be the one just, you know, letting the dogs out for a walk if Grandma didn't want to, and eventually when she just couldn't really do that much anymore. And Grandpa also does the lawn mowing. Despite the fact that he has a mild allergy to grass, he doesn't care. He doesn't care that he has a mild allergy to grass. He's just like, I love mowing the lawn. I mow the lawn here, and I mow the lawn in our camper at the campground that he actually co-owns. But, despite his mild allergy, he will still go and mow the lawn. So good for him. Good for him. But I think a cat might be too much for them, so if we end up finding another kitten somewhere, we probably wouldn't give it to them. I'm not sure about my uncles. Uncle on my mom's side probably wouldn't like having a cat, considering he struggled to take care of a dog after a while, because... Well, let's not get into that. Let's not get into all that. Let's just say he developed certain habits, and he was working on dealing with those habits, and then tragic events happened, and he kind of... Yeah. Put it this way, let's just say he's been in the hospital because of his liver a couple times, and we'll leave it at that. We've had a couple scares with him, so we probably wouldn't want him to have a little kitten to take care of, maybe. I think he once again has kind of worked through all that, so he's not doing all that anymore, but, you know, just in case. Because he used to have a dog, and then we ended up taking care of her for the last little while, and then, you know, she passed too, because she was an old dog anyway. I think by the time we started taking care of her, she was definitely up there in age. In dog years, probably around, like, 70. So, you know. And of course, it was after we got Kiki, so we obviously keep the two of them separate. Very much so. I don't think Kiki would have really gotten along with a big dog, especially after we got her from my cousin who had two, which I already mentioned has two big dogs. So it's not the best idea, so. Long story short, let's hope we don't find another kitten at the house, because we probably wouldn't be able to handle taking care of it very easily, and we're not sure what else to do with it. We'd probably go in a shelter, and... You know, it sounds a little sad when you put it that way, you know? Like, local animal shelters do great work, don't get me wrong, but, like... It's always a happier ending when animals like that end up with proper homes, you know? Now things have gotten awkward. I wasn't sure really where to continue in that direction, really. I wasn't really sure where to go with that. I don't want these to be, like... I don't know if depressed is the right word. Like, I don't want to turn this into one of those, like, Humane Society ads you always see on TV where they play the super sad music and zoom in on the animals' faces and the ask for donations. It's like, I don't want to make people sad or try to guilt them or anything. This is not the place for that. I'm just here talking about things while trying to get shiny Pokemon. I want this to be more of a happy time or a chill time. Just like, a time where I get to sit back and we just talk. That's really about it. That's really all I really want this to be. It's kind of the point of this whole filler Dunsparce thing. It's just meant to be a little extra something I do just to connect, to relax a little bit, just talk. And some of these streams are better than others in that regard. And how many times have I brought up the fact I've had to freaking, like, how do shiny hunters do all this stuff? Oh, it's the second one of the week. It's gonna be such a drag. That just kind of happens way too much. I know. Like, there's a reason I don't do this constantly. I'm not sure how long I can really take it. There's a reason why I've spaced out this entire Dunsparce thing over the course of, like, how long has it been? Like a year and a half at least? It's just been a very on and off thing, because we do this for like a week or two, and then we play another game for like a month or two, and then it's back to this for like 1 or 2 streams, and then like all back and forth balancing it. And of course, just because I want to do filler doesn't necessarily mean I go to this, because, you know, we have other smaller games I play instead, like the Game Boy Mega Man games, or really just anytime I play any Mega Man game on stream, which is kind of like a one-off thing. And then, of course, you have stuff like Nintendo Direct reactions. You have other little gimmicky streams I've done where it's like the favorite Pokemon grid I did a while back. That's probably very out of date right now because I've been getting more familiar with other Pokemon. I don't remember if Excadrill was my favorite on that chart. Excadrill would be my favorite nowadays, so if Excadrill wasn't the favorite back then, that's how you know it's already outdated. And let it be known, I liked Excadrill before it got the Mega. It didn't really even need the Mega. I'm glad it did. Give it more of a spotlight. But it's already a beast without it. I think I put Probopass in there somewhere just because of a meme. I think that was the start of the Khalil arc. Because that was back in the time where I wasn't always streaming in the evenings. That was back in the days when I was sometimes streaming during the afternoons, like around lunchtime. And there would be a guy who would show up who would be a little bit of a regular. And at one point, I put Probopass in there as like a favorite Pokemon. I think of the Rock type, or maybe it was just my favorite of the Rock type from Sinnoh or something. Where it's like, I like this one because it kind of looks like Khalil from Jonah, a VeggieTales movie, and I thought that was funny. And then that guy completely rebrands his channel to be based off of Khalil, and I find that really hilarious. And then he just kind of spiraled to like the Khalils would just multiply in the profile picture until it became this like monstrosity of like 100 Khalils that were so small because of the picture resolution that they just they wouldn't even be individual pixels. Like they kind of just meshed together after a while. It was so goofy. But when I changed my schedule to do more evening streams instead, Khalil doesn't really watch as much anymore. Last time I think he dropped by, I think was when I was doing the Pikmin 2 challenge mode. He showed up once. He was like, "Hey, it's been a little bit." And that was like mid last year, I think. So that's just because of schedules, you know. It's like those times when Wanye shows up. He lives in the Netherlands, so what would be 6:30 in the evening for me would be like midnight for him. So he'd pop in, stay for a few minutes, and then just go to bed. Because, like, his time, he streams pretty late nowadays. Game? Uh-oh. You okay, Game? What was that about? Typical Generation 9. Ah, the sandwich was done. Okay. Typical Generation 9 jank. Game freezing up a little bit. Yeah, he used to actually stream around lunch in his time zone. Because he used to have a thing going where he would he would end the streams with like, I'm gonna go get a sandwich, and I'll see y'all. And then when he got affiliate, he added an emote, or maybe it's been a follower emote. I don't remember. I think it's a subscriber emote, where it's a sandwich. It's like a BLT, in reference to that. And then after that, he swapped to pretty late his time, which would be around lunch my time, to focus more on his more American audience, because there were people like me who would watch his streams late in the night. Like, I'd be up at like 3 o'clock in the morning watching Wanye play Mario Wii. Which, you know, probably isn't healthy, but, you know, I did. That was the thing I did. That's how I actually discovered his streams. Me being like, I can't sleep. I'm getting kind of sick during the winter. It's yearly winter sickness. I'm gonna go watch something on Twitch. Like, ooh, Mario. I like Mario. So I tune into the like only Mario Wii stream that's currently going on, and it's Wanye. And I was there helping him out with like star coins and secrets and whatnot. And by the time he was finishing up all the star coin stuff in the main game, before we even did most of World 9, he made me mod, and the rest is history. I'm one of his main regulars now. I haven't watched every stream of his, and for a while there was a point where I just wasn't showing up. But now I try to watch every stream possible. I think I currently have a 71 stream streak, which is pretty good. It would be more like 80 if it weren't for the fact that sometimes stuff would just not line up right, and I had to watch the VOD to keep the streak going. Anyway, this Dudunsparce, I'm not looking at the stats. I'm going to guess it's Bashful. Naive with a mark. Uncommon. Okay. Uncommon, and it's the most common mark in the name game, I feel. All right. Dudunsparce number 89. Go ahead and mark that one. Will you be the 3 segment? Uh-oh. First off, no, it wasn't. Second, when I clicked in the window for the tracker, I accidentally clicked in the message box, which is how I typed in Dudunsparce earlier, and it fucked up the cropping. Hang on. I can fix that. And there we go. Uh-oh. Update it, please. Uh-oh. This is a problem. It's not updating like it should be. It still thinks it's there. Do I, like, change window and then go back? Will it update? Uh-oh. I think I broke it. If I disable the hotkey, it clicks out of the message box and I start up again. Uh-oh. Give me a second to fix this. If I delete and then bring it back, it should update right. Yeah, we're good. There we go. Problem solved. Yay! I'm a professional! I know what I'm doing. I stream twice a week. I am very much a professional. I have experience. Oh man, these streams are meant to be more like casual, laid back. I keep saying that. And then it just becomes interesting in the stupidest ways, because you have me breaking the layout. You have me, like, first encounter finding a shiny giraffe rig right as I'm starting up the next sandwich. And then, of course, all the random discussions I get myself involved with. Like, just because these are filler does not mean these are uninteresting. Like, think of it like your favorite TV show, how they often, like, if it's like an adaptation of, like, an ongoing comic or something, they often have, like, filler arcs. It's very common in anime, specifically, would have, like, filler arcs where they catch up to the manga, and now they have to wait a little bit. So they have to put a little filler in. Or maybe they want to have more episodes, but they don't want to advance the story too quick, so they have, like a Monster of the Week filler episode or something. And they don't really contribute much to the main plot, but they can still be really fun. And that's what I think these streams are like. They're not really that impactful when it comes to anything. They're just You know, will I get the shiny? And will I get a shiny with the 3 segment? Will this be the day? And that's really about it. But then you have these little like, mini things that sort of happen that just kind of, you know, just make it just really goofy at times. And sometimes they bring in different Pokemon, and it's like, oh, that's a cool Pokemon you chose there. You wanted to be really funny because I used to bring in an Iron Bundle for this, named Robo Santa. I think that was Robo Santa. So I think I caught Robo Santa because I wanted to use him for competitive. Back when I was doing that little arc where I tried competitive out, and it really wasn't for me. It really wasn't. Maybe I'll try again with Champions now that that's out, but maybe when they expand the roster of Pokemon a little bit more and they allow more than, like, 20 held items. Because, like, outside of the berries and a couple of the mainstays, like leftovers, I think, are in there. Like, a lot of stuff that's generally used in competitive just isn't there. And then there's a bunch of typical Ilka jank from Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, which I failed to mention back when we were talking about the Kanto starters. The Kanto starters are obviously there. So, yeah. I've been hesitant to play Champions. I know it's free to play, but, you know, it's just worse Showdown. I'd rather just play Showdown, especially because Showdown has everything in it. So, I can just do whatever I want in Showdown, not limited, but, you know, an official thing like that. And plus, I could shiny hunt technically in Champions because you could recruit Pokemon at like a Pokemon Ranch, which is not a reference to the Pokemon Ranch games back during, I want to say, like Generation 4 they had those. It's not those. It's not Pokemon Ranch. It's like, it's an actual like proper ranch. And you just find random Pokemon there and you know, they have a chance of being shiny. And that stuff's cool. I like that. And you can actually recruit them and keep them, and you can transfer them into the Legends EA if you want to, if they're compatible. And supposedly also in the Generation 10 as well. And that stuff's cool. You know? So technically you could do shiny hunts in what is effectively a battle simulator. And I think that's amazing. But, you know, given the problems and blatant omissions that Champions has had at launch, and the trouble it's kind of caused over the past couple of weeks, I've been hesitant to even try it. Not to mention the fact that I'm just not great at competitive anyway. You know? Like, remember I just mentioned this. I had like a little arc where I tried Gen 9 competitive and it was just not working out for me. And then, of course, I did the competitive stuff in Legends EA enough to get the Mega Stones. We haven't gotten a new one in a while. So they might be done with that. But you can still get them all, which is cool. Wish they weren't locked behind an online event thing. But, you know, at least they seem to be done with those for now. They might add some new ones later down the line because, based on screenshots and gameplay footage we've seen, we have found Mega Stones that are kind of new. Like, there was a Mega Stone on Weavile, so we could be seeing Mega Weavile sometime soon, which is kind of interesting. And of course, you have those times where, funnily enough, I think people are actively using Mega Stones to fake out people who aren't super knowledgeable on how the Mega Stones look. Because how items work in competitive is that you don't see a full detailed description of the item. You just see like a little icon to represent the item, right? And most people probably haven't memorized what the new Mega Stones look like. So they'll pair up like Grandpa with what's a Mega Stone that'll work? Like maybe like a Charizard X or something to kind of confuse people a little bit. But then the item usage data is also just shown generally. So you get these tweets every so often where they see a Pokemon that has a Mega Stone that doesn't belong to them. And they're like, why the hell are you equipping that Mega Stone to that Pokemon? It's so weird. And it's one of the really funny scenarios. Like, Cryogonal holding a Mega Stone when it can't Mega Evolve. It's like, what the fuck? the whole point is that they're doing that to kind of scare people into thinking they're bringing a Mega that doesn't actually use that stone or isn't a Mega yet. It's meant to fuck with the casuals, I guess. Which is kind of a funny little move for like early meta game, but that won't fly for too long. But then we have like official screenshots and everything that show Mega Stones on Weavile, and it's like, okay, I doubt they're doing the fake out strats. Are they going to use Pokemon Champions to give us new Mega Evolutions? Because that'd be freaking cool if they did that. Of course, they're going to make it available elsewhere as well, but, you know. It'd be cool if we actually got new content in this battle simulator. Some more justification for it existing over something like Showdown. Which, as of the current point, is just better, because it has all the Pokemon, all of the items, including all the stuff you don't want. It lets you even make stuff that wouldn't normally be possible in Pokemon. Like the dreaded Terra Electric Air Balloon Shedinja that we've mentioned. That's kind of a meme. You can make that in Showdown, and it's... depending on the format you play, you could actually use that in like a casual free-for-all, you know? It's really funny. And then someone's working on making a client for it that actually uses 3D models and animations, just like the main games do. So, you know, Showdown actually kind of has the presentation beat nowadays, I suppose. Which is kind of funny. Because the presentation, while overall somewhat of an improvement, does have its issues. Like, apparently, if... yeah, sneeze building. Nope. Damn, I hate when that happens. I hate when it's like building up his knees and it tickles your nose a little bit, and then it just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. It just bugs you. I hate when that happens. So annoying. But as I was saying, Champion's visual presentation's actually been a little iffy, because when the game launches, even if your console is docked, it will act like it's not. So if you want the docked resolution boost, you have to undock the system and then dock it again, and then it's running at the proper resolution. And even then, despite the fact that it's basically just a battle simulator with like 100 Pokemon, it still runs at only 30 FPS, which normally I'm not one to complain about the frame rate too much. I play Pikmin, I'm used to it being like... I play Pikmin, I play Ocarina of Time, and those have traditionally lower frame rates. Ocarina of Time is known as the best game of all time in many game journalist circles, and that game runs at like a barely sustainable 20 FPS. There are plenty of points that game slows down. Looking at you, friggin' Stalfos and Forest Temple. You take out one of them, the game runs at like 2 FPS for a few seconds while it tries to figure out what to do next. It's so dumb. But like, I still have one of the best games ever made, so... whatever. But like, that game's super complex, and it's a miracle that game runs as well as it does for the hardware it's on. It's kind of held together with duct tape when you actually examine the whole thing. But this is a modern day Pokemon battle simulator with like 30 items, mostly berries, and 100 Pokemon. Right? So it really shouldn't be super strenuous on the system. Yet they lock it at 30. Again, I usually don't care about frame rates too much, but this doesn't seem like the thing you'd want to lock at 30. But given the fact that it's having problems with the resolution and not realizing the console is docked, then, you know, it might just be a glitch. What I'm saying is we shouldn't trust Ilka to make Pokemon games anymore, because they friggin' messed up the Gen 4 remakes. And knowing Game Freak, I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to make Ilka be in charge of the Gen 5 remakes, and it'll inevitably come around soon enough. And my god, if Ilka ruins Gen 5, I am going to be extremely pissed. You know? I hope if we get a Gen 5 remake, we either get a different studio doing it, or Game Freak just does it themselves, because... man... Like, they've gotten a little bit of a reputation now because they've bungled 2 fairly big Pokemon releases. Which, uh-oh. At least Pokemon Champions is going to be getting active support for a while, with all the Pokemon eventually getting added new items and special events and whatnot. So they're going to keep updating the game and everything, because it's a live service game. Hate those. So annoying. When it dies in like 5 years and the server's shut down, nothing's going to be left of it. Can't wait for that to happen. But anyway, it does mean they're going to update the game fairly frequently as they add new Pokemon for new seasons and whatnot. So a lot of the issues that it currently has now might get ironed out in the future. The problem is, it really shouldn't have released in the state it was in. At the very least, if they wanted to limit the number of Pokemon that were in the game and limit the held items, they should have had everything as usually in competitive. So I don't think, like, Rocky Helmet and stuff is in there even right now. No, Quick is. It's actually pissing people off, but, you know, that's a whole other thing. But, like, there's only like 100 Pokemon. It's like, not even all the starters are in the game. Yet they brought in the Unova monkeys. Which, like, it's cool the Unova monkeys are getting more spotlight because up until Legends ZA, they just weren't in any Nintendo Switch Pokemon game. You had to get them from Pokemon Go, and of course, they're region locked. Outside like special Unova events that happen like once in a blue moon. More rare than that even. But like now they're in Legends ZA, so you can get them whenever you want. That's cool. But like, they prioritize putting them in the battle simulator over putting the starters in. Like, not even all of the Megas are in the game right now, I don't think. Like, not even all the ones that were put in Legends ZA. Like, you can't bring everything in. Like, I don't think you can bring Darkrai in. Like, that will make sense. They're not going to start out the early seasons by letting you bring in Mythicals like that super early. Like, every Pokemon game, when it comes out and does competitive stuff, they lock out the Legendaries and Mythicals for a few months, right? That's how it's always gone. So it's understandable when some Pokemon like Darkrai are in it. But, like, again, a lot of the starters aren't. So, like, what's going on there, pal? I don't understand what you're doing. But, oh well. Realistically, I understand them not having every Pokemon at launch. But I think, at minimum, they should have had at least 300 Pokemon, which would be roughly the roster size of base Legends ZA. It's not based. The game's a little bit iffy at points. Still fun, but iffy. Like, that game has, like, the general Pokedex in Legends ZA is 230. And if you add in the special events for stuff like Mewtwo and Diancie, that goes up to, like, 132, I think. Maybe 133. It's not that many. It's a pretty small roster for Pokemon concerns. It's a little bit smaller than Generation 2, which you think would be kind of bad, but you know, given the new gameplay style, it's plain enough. It's a side game. Who cares? It's mainline though, man. The new gameplay style, they want to limit the Pokemon to experimental, but that's fine. Like, at minimum, your battle simulator for that should at least have that many Pokemon, probably more, right? And yet, I think there's only about 100 or so Pokemon that are in. And I think if they want to launch this thing, first fix all the big issues that have been a major pain, and make sure all of the starter Pokemon are in it. Because most of them, even if they aren't super competitively viable, a lot of them still have plenty of use and are easy to get because you play a Pokemon game, you get a starter. There you go. It's like, that's like half of it done. And then, of course, from there, because Legends ZA has a bunch of new mangas, maybe don't add every single one of them at launch, but probably add more than you already did. And that would probably lump in with like the 300 marker, right? And if you want to add stuff like the monkeys from Unova, don't prioritize them. As cool as it is that they're there, like, there are other Pokemon of those types that are just better that have been left out at launch. And finally, a lot more of the items need to be brought in, because a lot of the competitively viable items from mainline Pokemon competitive modes are just not there. They're just not there for some reason, and I don't know why. Like, most of the items that are currently in the game are berries, and most people aren't going to be using those. And I think it's a little bit of missed opportunity. You know? Like, I'm not sure the life orb's in the game yet, but, ooh, gotta add in the Oran Berry, because 10 HP is totally worth it. You know? So dumb. It's so freaking dumb. I still think Showdown is just a better simulator right now, but, you know, with time, I think Champions would eventually get, like, a thing of its own, and, you know, if they add new megas, like, I'll have a little bit of extra something. And, of course, you're gonna shiny hunt. You can shiny hunt in the ranch. It's like it's a little something for everyone. But it really shouldn't have released the way it did. Which honestly, I think sums up every mainline Pokemon game on Switch. Like, I think out of all of the games that were released, I think the Legends games got the best end of the deal. And I wouldn't say they were perfect either. Legends EA, in particular, flat buildings for some reason. I don't fully understand that. There's still some jank. The pathfinding, especially the DLC, I hear, is a bit awkward. Like, some ironing out needed to be done there as well. Then you have Generation 8, which everyone started making fun of, not just because of the limited Pokedex, but also just the low poly trees. Showing like a possible lack of effort. Then Generation 9 comes around, the game we're playing right now. We have multiple hangouts, we have the game crash. The game looks like absolute ass all the time. The northern parts of Paldea look ripped right out of an N64 game sometimes, which is inexcusable in the 2020s. Like, what the fuck happened? What happened? And then you have Ilka butchering Gen 4 remakes. You have Let's Go, which is probably the most complete game, but it's just kind of there generally. It's another Kanto remake. It's just a Kanto Pokemon and Melmetal because Pokemon Go exists. It's kind of the whole point of that game. It's just like a little bit of a bridge between mainline Pokemon and Pokemon Go. So it's a little niche thing. It's kind of interesting, I suppose. Like, almost every Switch game that Pokemon has released has just been some underwhelming thing that releases in a very iffy state. And sometimes it can get into a decent enough state where it's not much of a problem, but then you have games like this where they update it somewhat, but like, this stream you've already seen it have like a hang, right? The sandwich ran out and the game got stuck thinking for 10 seconds. Like, that's not good. That's not good. That shouldn't be happening. So, I don't know. Hey, a shiny! I was getting a little concerned. We hadn't seen a shiny in a bit. I was getting a little bit concerned we weren't going to see one in the sandwich. Which has happened before. But, you know. And we catch it. Easy. So yeah, maybe there will be a time someday where we'll give Champions a shot, but I'll probably be waiting a little bit because I want to wait for more stuff to be added and a lot of the stuff to be ironed out. I know I've brought up the Focus Sash glitch before where someone was using a Dragapult and they were using a move that knocked Gyarados to 1 HP because the Focus Sash went off. But it also triggered the Focus Sash on the Dragapult, which didn't even get hit yet, so it just wasted the Sash. Like, that shouldn't happen. I don't think that even happened in Gen 9, and this game in particular is known for being a buggy mess, and it doesn't even happen there. Like, generally the items work correctly in this game. I don't know how they messed that up. I don't know how they did, but they did. It's, kind of ridiculous. Kind of pathetic. It's really pathetic when the game comes out, it goes into maintenance literally like the next day, and they release a statement being like, we know a lot of the glitches that were in the game when released, and we are currently fixing them. Like, you should have just delayed the game for like another week or two, right? Why are game companies scared to delay things if things are going wrong? Like, if a game is just not all there yet, it's understandable that the game should be delayed, right? And sure, a lot of us will be disappointed that it won't be coming out as early as we want, but you can use it as an opportunity to show off more stuff in the marketing, and of course there's more time to patch things up, and you're generally going to have a better product that people are going to like more. You know? It's a lesson that Sega, I think they need to learn a little bit, and I think they kind of have. And the fact it's taken so long to get a new Sonic game in the mainline series. But still, it's a thing that needs to be kind of brought over in the gaming industry as a whole. Just like, if a game is not in a good state, delay it. Like Metroid Prime 4, for instance, that was announced early on in the Switch's life, and within like a year, they had to fully restart that thing because it just wasn't working. Right? And of course, the game itself, it did end up releasing last year. I think it was last year anyway. It might have been early this year. Time all blends together nowadays. But it was definitely a bit lackluster from what I hear. The desert segment in particular being a bit of a problem. And a lot of it did apparently seem to be that they were just trying to salvage what they could with the original work that was being done instead of just fully starting over. So it's a little unfortunate what happened there, but they were at least upfront about it. They were at least upfront because they said it wasn't going to work out. They did interviews, they said they were going to delay it, and they were going to re-announce it at some later time. We didn't think it would take the entire console generation to see it again, but you know, at least they waited. And of course, they also delayed Animal Crossing New Horizons back when that was new, right? Because that was originally going to come out in late 2019, and they realized it wasn't really all there yet, so they delayed it till March. March or it was March 2020, right? Because it just happened to be just the right time when everyone was locked down. Just by pure coincidence. Like, that game came out, and I hear people say it's kind of lackluster for an Animal Crossing game, but it's at least a finished game, generally speaking, right? I feel like more games need to be released in a better state. And if that means having to push the game release date off for a few months, fine, you know? But it also goes to show another lesson. Don't announce games too early. And that's something even Nintendo fucked up. Again, Metroid Prime 4. So, like, there are some things that some companies need to kind of figure out, and hopefully they do. And for big companies like the Pokemon Company, releasing games in a state like Scarlet and Violet were just isn't a good look, really. Like, Pokemon's the biggest franchise in the world right now. You'd think it would have proper care and attention to, you know, have that spot feel earned, right? But no, some of the games can be a bit shoddy, especially nowadays. Like, I'm not gonna act like the earlier games in the franchise were some pristine, perfect, like, release type deal, because Gen 1 was held together with even more duct tape than the Ocarina of Time comparison I made earlier. Like, that was a clusterfuck. That wouldn't fly nowadays. And Scarlet Violet is proof of that. You know. I just feel like if you're the biggest franchise on the fucking planet, that you should be doing more to actually, you know, make you feel justified. You shouldn't be releasing half-assed games, you know? And like, still, you get stuff like the anime, which is good, even now that they've gotten rid of Ash Ketchum, I think at the worst time they could have. Like, yeah, the end of his arc, he finally became the champion and all that, but like, I really wish they would have kept it going for one more run through Scarlet and Violet. I really wish they did. Because, like, once Ash becomes world champion, what do we do from there? I know what we do from there. We have him solve a time crisis. Like, Ash going on an adventure to save the world from impending doom caused by time travel shenanigans with Paradox Pokemon would have been a great step up from becoming world champion. Because if anyone is qualified to deal with a situation like this, it would be the world champion. Not to mention the fact that Generation 9 takes place at a university. And I'm willing to bet that Ash did not get a chance to keep up with his studies much on his Pokemon adventure. So you get that unique angle. And plus, I think interactions between Ash and Nemona would be absolutely incredible, you know? Like, imagine how much Nemona would geek out knowing that she would go to the same university as the world champion. Like, that would be so cool. Especially as a connoisseur, especially as a major connoisseur of Pokemon battles, right? Like, Ash would have been perfect to do a Generation 9 arc, and then they didn't. And that makes me so sad. It's coming from a guy who hasn't kept up with the anime much. I really wish they kept Ash around for one more season. Just keep him around for Generation 9 stuff. It would have been great! It would have been great! But no, they didn't. I hear the new stuff they've been putting out since they retired Ash has been good. I heard it's been good, but it's not the same. It's just not the same. And it was a major missed opportunity to get rid of him when they did. It's kind of sad. Very bittersweet. Not to mention, from what I can tell, I don't think Team Rocket had a really good ending either. Because they just kind of stop. Ash becomes world champion, and they just kind of stop, don't they? Like, is it a thing where they're concerned that, oh, Ash is now the world champion, we can't just go stealing his Pikachu now. He's too notable. We can't just do that. Do they just feel guilt and just give up and go home? Is that it? Because that doesn't really feel like a satisfying conclusion for them either. I feel like having a thing with Team Rocket where they find out about the Paradox Pokemon and they want in on it too, and they want to capture the Paradox Pokemon as well, that would have been nice. It wouldn't just be them going after Pikachu. So like, there'd be there's so many missed opportunities in this. Plus, I don't know if I'm wrong for thinking it'd be a good option, but like, I could totally see them using an Earthworm. Just because of its goofy face, because they have a lot of comic relief Pokemon in their team. Right? You know, the thing! And then the Beware that constantly shows up to hug everyone. Like, you know, it's comic relief stuff. I think Earthworm would be great for that. Just them popping up out of nowhere sometimes and maybe spooking James a little bit. And of course, like, he's just this goofy little fella, so like, only James would really be freaked out by him. I think Meowth would be a little indifferent. I think Meowth would be a little indifferent to it. Not sure how Jesse would take it, but James definitely would be like kind of freaked out just for the jump scare. I think it would have been. It would have led some freaking hilarious moments, and they just didn't do it. They didn't take advantage of anything Gen 9 had for the sake of continuing that for one more season. You know? Just something to think about. With that being said, I need to actually watch the rest of the anime because I've watched the original first few seasons. I watched all of Kanto. I watched the Orange Islands. I've watched the first 3 movies. I've watched bits and pieces of Black and White through Sun and Moon because I would just happen to catch TV airings on Cartoon Network and Disney. But otherwise, I've been largely kind of out of the loop. Like, of course, I know of like some of the meme clips, like Sir Skit. Ah, only in the Japanese dub, baby. But, you know, I'm not gonna act like I've seen every episode or I'm some major expert on the anime or anything. More of a casual viewer right now. I think they're currently uploading episodes to the official YouTube channel last I checked, and I think they recently just got to season 8, which I think would put them most of the way through Ruby Sapphire. I think. So I have some catching up to do. I have some catching up to do. It's nice that after they shut down Pokemon TV, which, you know, didn't have every season or anything, they've at least been, they've been uploading, they've been kind of, they've made a whole YouTube channel for Pokemon TV, and they've been uploading the full series there, episode by episode. And it seems like it's going to have a majority of the series there. I think Gen 8 and onwards are still going to be locked behind Netflix for a while. But, like, everything through Sun and Moon should be on there, right? Eventually. So that's good. It's nice to have the anime just kind of all in the one spot for once, because the Pokemon anime is known for being all over the fucking place with its releases. Just being on like 15 different streaming services, and just, you could never just pick one spot to watch the full thing. Like, I think the only spot you could watch, I want to say Diamond and Pearl for a while, was Hulu. It might not have been Diamond and Pearl, but it was some set of the Pokemon anime just on Hulu and nowhere else. I know Tubi, it's had Black and White for a while, I think, and then it had X and Y as well as the related movies for to celebrate Legend ZA coming out, because that's also Kalos. So. But, like, it's all over the place. I'm glad they're trying to convene it all in one spot, though. It's nice. Anyway, Dudunsparce, number 90. I'm gonna guess that this one is... Go Timid. Brave. The complete opposite. Good job, man. Oh, well. I've gotten the nature guess right a couple times. I'll get it right again eventually. Just not good at this. Anyway. So we're gonna go to bag. Go to bag! And then we go to Rare Candy and Evolve! Dudunsparce number 90. Will this be the one? Dun 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 dun. No, it will not. It is not going to be the one today. Well, I think we'll do one more sandwich and then call it. I think that's pretty good. You know, even after having the time, you know, I keep saying that, oh, the second one wasn't super bad. I've had more to talk about on this one than I usually do on the Friday ones when I've done one previously that week. So this is actually one of the better Friday Dudunsparce streams, honestly. It's mostly it's just mostly been me rambling about whatever comes to mind, and it's mostly been Pokemon related. It's been on topic. Go me. The guy talk about pets and family and such, but like, when you think about it, isn't that also kind of like Pokemon? Okay. That reminds me. There's in similar fashion to that favorite Pokemon thing I brought up before, there's like a get to know me Pokemon edition type thing, because there's been like a get to know me grid for a lot of things recently. There's one for like video games in general, like last week. Now there's one spreading around for Pokemon, I think from the same source. I don't know if it was a website or what. But there's one where it's like your favorite Pokemon, your second favorite, your least favorite, the most nostalgic Pokemon, Pokemon with the biggest story behind it. And I should probably fill one of those out myself. I don't think it would be enough to justify a full stream like it was with the favorite Pokemon grid, where it's like your favorite Pokemon of a specific type from a specific region, and then you're building your dream team out at the bottom. Like, that could justify a full stream because of how much it is. But, like, the current thing going around is only, like... It's like a 2x4 grid. There's, like, not many spaces to fill in, I don't think. It's like, maybe it could justify, like, half an hour, maybe. Unless I start rambling again like this. But it definitely wouldn't get past the hour mark. You know? I mean, if anything, I could maybe have to do like a collab stream with Wani at some point, where like we fill out his and he does his whole thing, then I fill out mine. It's kind of like a double feature, because I don't think just doing one would take a full 2-hour stretch. You know, I don't think it would. But that's just me. Honestly, I feel like we, like the Wani community. I don't think I could host a sort of thing like this. Mainly because, well, my laptop can be a little bit finicky sometimes. Especially with Discord open. You may remember the last Wani Archipelago stream we did. I played Sonic Adventure, and with Discord open, with the app, back before we found out it was running high priority in the background for some stupid reason. But with that going, and streaming at 72060, the game just ran like shit a lot of the time, and I had to deal with it. Didn't know how to fix it, and the stream itself was kind of a clusterfuck, but it was still generally a good time, right? That's the kind of reason I kind of hold off from holding, like, collab events. Not to mention the fact that our schedules have to line up, because I normally stream when Wanya's in bed. So, you know, if we do, like, a big celebration thing, like a whole community event, it has to be, you know, earlier on in both of our days. The schedules have to line up a bit better. But I feel like doing like a full-on 1EA community thing where we each fill out our own, like, one by one, and, like, telling stories. Like, imagine a thing where it's like we're sitting around the campfire just talking about Pokemon. He okay, then weird ass then MON, that's it. I don't know where I was going with that joke, but, you know, sometimes you make a joke, something comes to mind, you just gotta go through with it, and sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it actually works. A lot of times it doesn't. And I found that out the hard way, very clearly. I'm not good at comedy. Most of the time. Like, I can be on a roll sometimes in Wanye's chat, but, like, not so much here. Not really. I guess my style works more on a text-based short-form format than it does on a 2-hour live stream, but what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What do you think I am? Some kind of professional? But yeah, maybe I can organize something with Wanye where we get the whole community together and we all just, like, make our own. We go, like, one by one. Like, what's your favorite Pokemon? What's your favorite Pokemon? We all just fill out our own grids. We screen share the whole thing. We all have our own grids kind of up at the same time. It'd be such a cool little experience. Little community thing. Because Wanye has played Pokemon before. Thanks to me. He played through Emerald... No, he played through Ruby casually, I think. And then, I think I had him do a Nuzlocke, and neither of those playthroughs were ever fully archived, I don't think. In fact, the only footage I think that still remains of the 1A-lock Nuzlocke run, I think, is the clip where he found the shiny Numble, which was so amazing. Because he looks at it for a second, like, that's shiny, that's shiny. I was like, that's a shiny, that's a shiny. What? It's so funny. And then there's a clip. And then there was the little highlight video where he gets Why Not involved in the Wobbuffet, and it becomes a surprisingly good player on his team. I think that was the Nuzlocke game, but that might have been the normal playthrough of Ruby. His name was Brad. Brad the Wobbuffet. He was cool. Because that I was underestimating Wobbuffet because he was one of those gimmick Pokemon I didn't really care too much about back then. And then he really showed himself against the battle with Norman. Because one, they just cleaned the house with him. So I'm like, okay, you know what? You're not just a meme Pokemon anymore, Wobbuffet. You've earned your spot, you know? That one was fun. And of course, the one full VOD of that has been archived was the VOD where he took on the champion. And then after that, we just played Pokemon Showdown and a few rounds of chess. Because that was a bit of a variety stream we did there. The Pokemon Showdown one's actually really... Pokemon Showdown part's actually kind of funny because I had him go against my team when I played Sapphire. It was also on April Fool's Day in his time zone, too. But, so his Pokemon Showdown client was showing all the April Fool's sprites at the time. It was super goofy. And then he wiped the floor with me because he brought in the Groudon, which I don't think he brought in as a final team member in the Elite Four and Champion fight. I could be wrong. Maybe he did. But I didn't use Kyogre in mine when I did the Elite Four. So I didn't bring in Kyogre against that. And maybe if I did, instead of... What was it? I think I had Walrein. Maybe if I had Kyogre instead, maybe I actually would have beaten Wanya in that battle, but I didn't. He kind of swept the floor with Groudon, which you know, I think that may be the original Ruby playthrough, and I don't think we archived much of the Nuzlocke outside of that one normal clip, because he played the Ruby twice, once normally I think, and once in the Nuzlocke. And then he did this weird Soul Link thing with I think Creaky and Rambisu. I want to say some point last year, where it's like I think he played Ruby, one of them played Black or White, and then I think someone else might have played Diamond and Pearl, or some shit. Like a multi-gen Soul Link, which is as completely broken as you think it would be, because there's a different number of encounters in each game. So the Soul Link wouldn't really apply so well cross-generation like that. But it's just something they did for the hell of it. And luckily, if you want to check out that monstrosity, I believe most, if not all of those streams have been archived from some perspective. So you can watch, I believe, the full arc of that if you dare want to see a clusterfuck Pokemon playthrough. It may have also been a randomizer run too, I don't remember. I didn't watch a lot of those live. And after that, he was just kind of burnt out on Pokemon. And he said he would never play Pokemon again until he played through at least one Digimon game. Which I think is just one of the games he had in his like ever-growing to-do list of request games. He still has to get to Pac-Man... What was it? It was one of the Pac-Man arcade games I requested for him. It wasn't called Pac-Man Anniversary or Pac-Man Enchantment or some shit. I don't remember what it was called. It's been a little bit since I've requested that, because I requested it over a year ago and he still hasn't gotten to it yet. So, you know, maybe he'll get to that soon. No, I'll start requesting stuff again because I've been holding off specifically because of his backlog. In fact, I want to say the whole reason why he played the Ruby Nuzlocke to begin with was because I actually requested Power Wash, which he didn't own, and it never went on sale for him. And ultimately, I think we just decided to do Nuzlocke instead. And I tried modding the game to add a little extra cave to give him a W unknown, but it completely broke the game, and it gave him a free Master Ball somehow, and it was a whole mess. I'm really upset it didn't play out as fully intended, because I would have loved for one to have a fucking W unknown on his team for that, but it never came to be. It never came to be. It's kind of unfortunate. But, no, that was about it. It was a fun time watching that stream, though. I guess you just had to be there, because there's no other way to watch it nowadays. Which is sad. Oh well. And then one day immediately broke his promise to not play Pokemon things because he was in like a Minecraft server, which was like an SMP thing for a little bit. he was invited, and they're doing a Cobblemon server, which is a Pokemon Minecraft mod. And I think he streamed that a couple times, and I made a little joke calling him out for the Pokemon thing. It's Cobblemon, it's totally different. Lol, 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 lol. He did a couple streams of that, and I think just put in his own time after that, or maybe just kind of just stopped in general. I don't know, because eventually I think he did stop, because I think his whole thing was he was gonna build a Pokemon gym with like vaguely American themed Pokemon, because his character in that is like a semi roleplay server. I think he brought in a character known as Bobby Garlic, who's kind of like this stereotypical, sort of really goofy way, Wild West sheriff type of dude. He makes appearances in a lot of Wanya's other stuff as well. So like, if you've played Super Nutelio 6-7, you know Bobby Mushroom, who is the same kind of character, except as a toad. And I think he's also in Skibidi Markart, I think it's what it's called. He's been doing these April Fool's games for a while. I think that was his first major appearance was that. And of course now he's going to be in Wanye's new game he's working on called Rat Work, where you play as a rat doing electrical work. And it's kind of inspired by Ratatouille in a similar manner to Super Nutelio 6-7. But yeah, that's gonna be fun to play that one. Probably won't stream it though, because I doubt my laptop's gonna run it very well while streaming it. I might be able to record a playthrough of it running at 30 FPS, kind of like I did with the Nutelio speedruns. Still the world record holder somehow. Yeah, it's not gonna be a streamed thing, I can assure you. But I will play that, I swear. Whether it's for the channel or not, I don't know. Maybe I'll upgrade my computer setup by then, but I want to support one in any way I can. Because he's a good man, that one, yeah. He makes fun video games and does great music, both original and remixes. He was kind of known as the Deltarune guy for a bit because he did a bunch of Deltarune remixes, and I forget his name. His last name was Takanaka. In that style, where it's kind of like a sort of like chill bossa nova type music. And no, none of it's done by AI. He does this stuff himself. So don't worry about that. He does a really good job with those. He's done a few other remixes in SL too. Like he did one with Hole in One from Rhythm Heaven Fever. It's so good. He does good work. Of course, he has his own original songs. He does play like small live shows every now and again. He's very talented. He's very talented. He's a very chill guy too. It's like I think you guys would like him, and I know you guys would like him because he showed up in the chat a few times, and he's a good man. He's a good man. So, yeah, watch his stuff. Listen to his music. He's on Spotify, I think. Just search up a song called "When Life's Good," and look for an album cover that looks like it's vaguely drawn in MS Paint, but in a charming sort of way. It's very good. But yeah, I'll see if I can maybe organize something with the Wanya community to do something with that, but Wanya might be a little bit unwilling to do that, considering he's a bit burnt out on Pokemon right now. But I feel like I can at least tell you possibly some of his entries there. Like, I want to say his favorite Pokemon is Trico. In fact, I think he named Trico T-Poser. I think those are in the Nuzlocke. And he tried his best to keep it a Trico across the whole game, and he didn't have an Everstone. And even though I think he was mashing B, I think he couldn't stop it from evolving, so it became a Grovyle, and he was sad. He doesn't like Grovyle or Sceptile nearly as much design-wise. But, yeah. I can at least tell you that one. I'd have to catch up on the weird, stupid Soul Link lore to maybe fill in some more of the gaps there, but, either way, he'd probably tell you better than I ever could. And we can make, like, a whole community effort, like a whole community night sort of deal. So maybe that'll happen in the future. Don't expect it to happen too soon. It'll happen, maybe, at some point. As of the current moment, one is playing through Sly 3, Honor Among Thieves. He just finished Sly 2, he's going to Sly 3 right now. He's having a great time. He's also thinking he might replay Sly 1, because he did stream the first one and thought it was kind of okay. But now that he's played through Sly 2 and he's playing through Sly 3, he might go back and play that one again. So that's going to be fun. I know very little about the Sly games. I think I watched the Super Gaming Brothers play it once. But, I've never played the games myself because, if you couldn't tell, I grew up in a Nintendo household, so games that were exclusive to the PlayStation stuff, I never got a chance to play much of. Like, Crash Bandicoot was kind of the main one that I got a chance to play. It's, never anything on the PS2 stuff, so I've never played Jak and Daxter, never played Sly Cooper. I had an opportunity to maybe try out Ratchet and Clank for a bit, but I played the first half hour of Rayman 2 instead. Maybe I'll go back and play that again at some point. So I played that back in high school. My chemistry teacher has an old PS2 he had set up for the gaming club that he hosted. And most people were there just either playing Dungeons & Dragons, Yu-Gi-Oh!, or Magic the Gathering, or Smash Brothers. Mostly Smash Brothers, mainly. I'd always kind of just be off in the corner playing Mega Man or something on the Chromebooks they gave out. That'd be just kind of it for me. But I did play a little bit of Rayman 2 during that, and I had fun. And then there was the whole Smash tournament. I've talked at length about the one time I've had fun playing Super Smash Brothers ever. But after that, I played a little bit of Guitar Hero because he had the PS2 set up, and he had Guitar Hero 2, I think, and that was also fun. I was not good at that. I played on one of the easier difficulties and kind of struggled with it because I was just not used to playing Guitar Hero, but it was still a fun time, especially because I'm a big rock and roll guy. Big fan of AC/DC, Aerosmith. You can thank my dad for that one. It's my dad. You can thank my dad because when he would drop me off at school, he would always have the local classic rock radio station on, and it was always fun. It could also explain why I'm not a big fan of most country music, but, you know. I feel, from what I hear, I think there's kind of a association there. A little bit of relation between the two. Maybe also a big reason why a lot of Sonic music vibes in it, because it's a lot of Sonic music goes for a rock and roll vibe. So, that might be why Sonic music, whoa, sticks out to me. Speaking of sticking out, Dudunsparce appears right in front of my face. I think it unloaded for a bit for that battle, and it came back, and luckily, I had a little bit of a grace period to move on before I actually encountered it again, so I was able to get out of there. Sometimes the game doesn't give you that leniency. Scarlet and Violet can be a bit weird sometimes. The way that Legend of Zelda does it, it's so much better where it's all real time. But it's probably going to be back to this sort of format with Generation 10 again, to keep it more familiar. I'm willing to bet they'll make the hitboxes a lot better because, my god, I'm still going to complain about the Dudunsparce's hitbox being way too damn big. And of course, you have stuff like Fletchling where, like, you could just barely be on screen and you're somehow still in an encounter with it, despite the fact it's freaking tiny. Super annoying going through some areas because of that. But yeah, I hope they'll address some of that in Generation 10. I feel like they will. Especially considering it's not going to be out for another year yet, so they have time. Maybe we'll have a good Pokemon game again. Throwing shade again. Anyway. But yeah, at some point, maybe, maybe Wanye and I could get something going where we do the Pokemon Grid thing as like a community effort. I'd have to ask him about that though. And even then, even if he does do it, it wouldn't be until after he gets done with Sly 3. And he just started it last week. So he's only about 10% done with the game right now, based off of the completion percentage. So I think also counts the challenges, and he says he's not doing those. So I think he's just right at the end of the second chapter then. So I'm assuming the challenges count towards completion percentage, kind of like the Clue Bottle stuff did in the last 2 games. And since he's not doing those, he's probably going to end the game around, like... Oh, crap. Probably going to end the game around, like, 75%? Also, got a freaking dud. You got the dud! Oh well. We'll take whatever ones we can get. More Dudunsparce I'll just give out at a later point. And plus it means this sandwich at least gave something. So yeah, today not as good shiny luck as yesterday, especially considering the fact that I'm not even counting the giraffe rig in that, by the way. But like, that first sandwich is better than any sandwich we got today, I think. At best we got 2, we most of the time got 1. We at least got something every time, which is something that hasn't always been a thing. We've had a few times during these streams where a sandwich didn't give us anything, so I should at least be okay with having a dud like this, right? They should be fun enough. Anyway, the sandwich should be done in like 10 minutes, right? Should be anyway. Let me check. Yep, around 10 minutes. So we have a little bit of time to maybe get one more Dunsparce if we're lucky. And who knows, it might be the 3 segment we're looking for, and we can put this behind us, I guess. Then I'll figure out what to do with all the Dudunsparces. We could have the kind of a thing. I definitely want to see if I can give one to Vix. If they're okay with it. But that still leaves another 90 on top of that, probably. At least, because it's the one I keep. There's the one I'd be given to Vix. That's 89. And I need at least one more shiny right now to get a 3 segment, because I don't have one yet. And I'm probably not going to get it right away, so it's probably going to be upwards of like 100 and something by the time we're done. Knowing my luck. Now this is kind of gone so far. I'm going to have to start, like, clearing out box space to make room for these guys eventually. I think some of them eventually might go for, if this gets done before Absolblock's Pokemon does the Gen 9 Wonder Trade stuff, some of them might actually go to that. Which would be really cool. But, you know, no guarantees on that. It depends on when he does it, and if I can get a 3 segment before then. Because right now, he's doing Generation 8. He's doing Sword and Shield. So, I think as of now, he's about halfway through, last I checked. I need to look at that again. Should also probably just watch those streams, too. So the highlight videos he does for those are fun. But, you know, something about watching that stuff in the actual stream format, it's different. Especially if you actually have the games in question, so you could actually do the Wonder Trades and actually do stuff. Because he did one for Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl. He did one now for Gen 8. He's done them before for Generation 7 for Ultra Sun Ultramoon, I think. I don't remember if he did one for Gen 6. He probably did. I don't remember. But, you know, when he eventually does one for Scarlet and Violet, that would be the first one I would actually be able to participate in. And it would be an honor to have Absolblock's Pokemon get one of my shiny 2-segment Dudunsparces. That'd be freaking cool. And of course, if it would happen, I would definitely freak out and make like a little extra bit at the start of a stream or something. Just like, hey, look, guys! Look where one of my Dunsparces went! that'd be cool. Like I said, that's a whole. That's all, folks. I guess it's like a. Oh my god. I could set aside like a whole box just for that. So, you know, that'd be kind of fun to try. It'd be kind of fun to try. It's kind of like when there's a streamer called Terrible Tavi, I believe, who ironically wasn't terrible. It was just a screen name, but he did a thing for a while where it would be like a not a Secret Santa type thing, but like you would take a Pokemon and breed a bunch of eggs with it, and then once you ever run a box or so, he would do this thing where you get the community together, we'd all type in the trade code, and we would just trade eggs until we have a full box of traded stuff, and then hatch them all and see what we got. And some of them would be shiny, some of them wouldn't, and we'd have some really strange Pokemon show up in there. But eventually, he kind of just stopped doing that after a while, and it made me sad. But that was a thing he did for a while. I don't think he does it anymore. But it was thanks to his community that I actually got some of the shinies I actually have nowadays, because I think his community is why I have a shiny Pichu, a shiny red Oricorio, which is the best shiny of the bunch, by the way, because the colors, it flips the red and black colors of the feathers, so it becomes mostly black, and it's so cool looking. I'm so glad I got that one. And I think that one was just a shiny trading Christmas event too. I don't think that was necessarily for the egg event thing that he would do. But yeah, it was a cool little thing he would do, and he would try to get one egg from everyone, and then if there were any repeats, he would not do that until at least at the second to last row of the box. To give people time to at least send one over, and they have more variety generally. And then when it's getting down to the wire and there's like nothing but repeats, he'll eventually just give in and just trade the rest as well. I think at some point, I started breeding multiple Pokemon at once, so that way there'd be a chance to get one thing and then another thing. So that way I would give him multiple Pokemon by chance. I think I only did that once, though. It was a sort of random bunch of crap. But yeah, it was just some fun that was done back then, and I don't think he does it anymore, especially now that the trade system, everyone's kind of moved on to Legends ZA, and you can't do that in Legends ZA, and you know, if he's still doing that, I wouldn't mind just getting a bunch of eggs ready and just doing that again. It'd be cool. I kind of wish, like, I could maybe do it for like a video just for the heck of it at one point, where I do like, I don't know if you can wonder trade eggs. You could do like proper trades with eggs. I don't know if you can do wonder trades. If you could, I would totally do a thing where I just try to. Actually, no. If you do trade like manual trade with no code, it's basically the same idea. If I try to give an egg to somebody, in that, would they accept it, and what would I get in return? That's the thing. That'd be really cool to try out once. I don't know. There's a little stupid gimmick thing I thought of just now. Probably wouldn't happen. And even then, it'd probably be a big dud anyway, because a lot of people be like, I don't want this egg, especially not for this Pokemon I'm giving you, which is probably going to be some thing. Honestly, if I were to do it, I'd probably just breed a bunch of starters. And then I'll see like if I get anything better or worse. If it was like a random spawn of something, like it's like a Tarantula, like it'd be like a worse. It'd be like the opposite of a prophet, I guess you could say. Like I would get the shit out of the stick. But if I got a legendary out of it, that would be pretty cool. Speaking of which, Vix, I think your battery's dead, or you got busy with something else. We never did do the trades for the remaining Paradox Pokemon here, and I think we just kind of moved on from that. Probably should have asked you about that yesterday. Whoops. Oopsie doodle. Didn't think that one through. What are you gonna do? But yeah. Overall, as this sandwich is coming to a close, I think the stream went pretty well. I think the last stream was definitely better. Not so much than the relaxed, sort of chill, talking with you guys about whatever type of deal. Like, someone was able to manage this stream. With some miracle. But, I feel like the first one this week was definitely more interesting. Because we had that first sandwich where we got the giraffe rig at the start, then the first Dunsparce was so shiny, and then we got another one, like, right after anyway. Like, that's an insane shiny look. And then we got nothing else on that sandwich, which is hilarious. Like, I don't know if we're ever gonna have something that entertaining happen during this hunt ever again. So I'm glad it happened when it did. It was neat. It was fun. And that's something you always gotta love about shiny hunting, because, like, it's always a chance that you just happen to come across something. And it's just, like, really funny. But yeah, that's gonna be it. And unfortunately, there are no normal Dunsparces currently in my party. It's just this Dudunsparce. So I'll do a nature check, put it in the box, and stop for now. So I'll probably go and stock up on sandwich picks now that we're running kind of low on those. So that way, when we eventually come back to this at some point in the future somewhere, I don't know when, we'll be prepped for it. So I'm going to predict that this Dunsparce right here, this Dunsparce, I'm going to predict bold. Quiet. Okay. I've been guessing nature's kind of the opposite of ones that they actually are, and it's kind of funny. All right. Well, that was a stream. So, as you can see, I got another full, one more fills an entire box, and I have 2 other full boxes. Because this would be 30, 60, 90. And I'm keeping one with the birthday mark, and there's another one somewhere else that I think I'm keeping, just regardless. Like, maybe I save that one to trip to Vix or something. But, like, these are the rest. I'm at nearly 3 full boxes. It's kind of ridiculous. But with that, we're going to save our game. I think we got another 4 Dudunsparce checks today, which is not great. It's like 1 per sandwich, but actually no, we would have had to have gotten 5 because we got my God, we would have gotten at least 1 on. I am too tired to stream anymore. I gotta stop. We got at least 1 on every sandwich, so we have to have gotten at least 5 because we got 2 on 1 sandwich, didn't we? And there was like 1 per for the others. I think we started at 86. We're at 91 now, so I think we got 5 today, which, you know, not bad. Not bad. I don't think it's as good as yesterday. Yesterday was pretty funny. We got a pretty good amount of Dudunsparce there, and then, you know, the freaking giraffe ring I won't stop talking about. That's gonna be a shiny I'm gonna cherish forever, and I hope you guys know that. That's a shiny I'm gonna freaking love to the end of my days. But that's gonna be it. So let's actually wave goodbye this time. I did not do that last time, and I'm a little sorry about that. A little personality just kind of lost, but that's it. I will see you guys next week for whatever you guys vote for. Assuming I actually remember to properly schedule the poll, it will be between going back to Pac-Man, which I don't want to do, more of this, which I wouldn't be opposed to, or Donkey Kong. And I will say this, if we get Dudunsparce again, I will do another poll the following week. So we're not just doing this until we get the 3 segment, because I don't know how long that'll take. Because this is meant to be more of an intermission anyway, but I did promise that when I would make a poll, it would have Dudunsparce in it, so. Depending on how it goes, we might be seeing a couple more of these streams before we do something else. And of course, if I do a second poll, it would just be between Pac-Man and Donkey Kong. I would not do Dudunsparce again. I think 4 streams in a row of Dudunsparce is enough for a break. So, speaking of break, that's going to be it from me for this week. I'll see you next week for viewer's choice, basically. I'll see you guys next week. Farewell. Oh, and I also still play Pokemon Go. Riolu Hatch Day is getting a rerun tomorrow. I probably won't grant it too much, so I already did the original Hatch Day, but I will take the opportunity to grind out the Sustainability Week. Fingers crossed I get more shiny Cast Form and shiny Toedscool. Okay. I just wanted to bring that up before we left because it's a Pokemon thing and I feel like it's relevant. And Toedscool's funny. And it's in this game too! Wow! It's so incredible. It all just ties in together. My mind is blown. Okay, I'm stopping the stream now for real. Goodbye. Farewell.